What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video. Today, I want to talk about the end of the draft. The draft finally over. The Colts draft class is set. We came into this draft with 7 draft picks. And by the end of it, the Colts end up with 9 draft picks. So we're out here making moves. Chris Ballard able to get us some more draft capital and still able to have one of the best drafts this year. So far, unanimously, it's like pretty much everybody is set on the fact that the Colts had one of the best drafts in the NFL. When you look at the trades that happened, Colts traded back from 46 with the Panthers to get number 52, 142, and 155. And then just a little while later, the Colts end up trading up and they give away, obviously, pick 82, but then throw in 191 and move up 3 spots to 79. And then a little bit later, the Colts traded a 5th-round pick, which was number 155 overall, to the Eagles for a 5th-round number 164 and a 6th-round number 201. Chris Ballard was making some moves, did what he had to do, and by the end of it, our draft class is set. I like what the Colts ended up doing. You look at the players that we ended up getting in the 4th round. Wisconsin guard Tanner Bortolini in the 5th round ended up having 3 picks. Start with Oregon State wide receiver Anthony Gold, Missouri linebacker Jalen Carleys, and Auburn cornerback Jalen Simpson. And then in the 6th round, we got another cornerback, Micah Abraham from Marshall. And in the 7th round, Colts select Oklahoma defensive tackle Jonah Lalu. So overall, again, I like what the Colts did with this draft class. You look at the kind of athletes that these guys are, and then we're going to go through, after this video, I'm going to start going through the entire draft class. We're going to talk and have a separate video about all these guys to really get to know who these guys are and look at them more in depth. So make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you get notified when that video drops, when any of those videos drop. But here we're going to look at relative athletic scores for all these guys. And when you look at Tanner Bortolini, in my opinion here, is that this is probably the future at one of the inside spots. Okay, he is a 9.77 out of 10. For a big guy, he's running a 4.94 40-yard dash, coming with a 32.5-inch vertical. And this is guy is 6'4", 303 pounds, okay, can play either of the guard spots, can play center. And I believe I saw that he's also played both tackle spots. So somebody very versatile, just like Matt Guncavs, our 3rd-round pick, very versatile, can play a lot of different spots. So the way Chris Ballard is drafting here, I think it's setting up for the future of the guys that are going to be around Anthony Richardson and Tanner Bortolini. Like everything that I've seen so far, just a little bit I've seen, I think this is a guy that's going to be on this team for a long time. Okay, but then Anthony Gold, wide receiver, Oregon State, seems like he's just going to be a return guy. He has an 8.87, runs a 4.39. I was looking at a little bit of highlights from him, and somebody that I think, with the new rules in the return game, it might not score a bunch of touchdowns in the return game, but I think it's somebody that could give the Colts a lot of good starting field position. So he'll probably be our return specialist. And when you look at Jalen Carleys, this is a guy that has played in the secondary. We talked so much leading up to the draft that the Colts at some point in the later rounds, and I believe I mocked a couple times it being the 5th round, where the Colts are going to end up drafting a linebacker that can cover. The Colts at some point want to draft an athletic linebacker who can cover. Well, what do? They go and get a guy that has played cornerback, has played safety, right? Did both of those in college, and they're drafting him and putting him at linebacker, right? Somebody to fill that Ronnie Harrison role, like I continue to mention. Okay, and Ronnie Harrison's back on the team, but with Jalen Carleys coming in, I just think it's going to give an opportunity, right? A guy that runs 4.5, again, a guy that's played at cornerback and played at safety, a guy that hits hard. He's 6'2.5", 227 pounds, and his relative athletic score is an 8.35. Somebody that I'm very interested to see how he works in this system. We saw Ronnie Harrison able to have a lot of success in the specific role that he plays. And so maybe in this Gus Bradley system, Jalen Carley's can be the guy going forward that can be really good for us there. But then going forward here, we're looking at another safety, but this guy presumably going to stay at safety is Jalen Simpson, safety from Auburn. His relative athletic score is 8.77, which is actually his RAS from the draft. After his pro day, it actually ended up changing a little bit to where he went down to a 7.4 because of his agility grade getting added in. So when you're talking about fifth round safety, looking at everything, between his size and his agility score, right? He runs a 4.4, which is great, has a 39.5-inch vertical. His explosiveness and his speed is really good, but his size at 5'11 and 179 and his agility are just not good enough. So we'll see, obviously, as he continues to get older and become more of a man, he will naturally just get bigger. So we'll see what happens there. The thing that's really worrisome is the agility score in the 4.55 shuttle. For somebody at that size, you would expect it to be much better. So he'll have to train, he'll have to develop, and we'll see what happens there. But they do end up drafting a free safety. Okay, and then in the most non-Chris Ballard thing of all time, he drafts cornerback Micah Abraham from Marshall with a 3.7 relative athletic score. Okay, the Colts have one of the most athletic teams of all time. Okay, that is what Chris Ballard drafts, is athletes. But when you look at Micah Abraham, small hands, not long arms, he's 5'9.5", 185, only puts up 13 on the bench press. Now he does run a 4.4, which is like, as long as you're fast, you can play. And maybe this is somebody that he expects, maybe he can be a gunner on special teams, or maybe Chris Ballard sees something in him that other people don't, right? At least that his athletic score, right? Being athletic isn't everything, but being athletic helps a lot in the NFL, right? So we'll see what happens here. This is a very interesting pick for Chris Ballard. Like, there's so much red on this sheet. So I'll be interested to see if Micah Abraham ends up making the team. And if he does, what is his role? Okay, but then to finish up the draft, the Colts selected a defensive tackle, which we had talked about, the Colts still possibly adding to that depth. And if they did, it'd be in the later rounds. And they end up doing it with the last pick for them. It was pick 234 in this draft. Jonah Lalu, I hope I'm saying that right, has a relative athletic score of 9.62. And for a guy that's 6'5", 292, he's running a 4.96 40, has a 36-inch vertical. So a lot of explosiveness, a lot of speed coming from this guy, and a big dude, right? You add him in to all the size that we have in the middle between DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, Raekwon Davis. Like, I think this man's going to fit in just right. Again, 6'5", 292, a big dude. He can move, and he's going to have time to sit behind and learn from guys like DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart, and, get best of both worlds, right? Work on his pass rush from the interior, but also understand the run fits from the interior. So I think this is a really good pick, somebody that's very athletic. We'll see what happens with him in the future, but this is somebody that I feel like is probably going to be on the team. But again, I'm going to look at all of these guys, all 9 draft picks. We're going to go more in depth with this. I want to get more sure about these guys and try to figure out what the role might be on the team and what we might look for, or how many of these guys are even going to make the team. So again, make sure you're subscribed with notification on. We got so much to talk about right now. So I want to make sure you're getting notified for all of it. Want your opinion on everything. So again, subscribe, notifications on, you know the deal. Make sure you hit that like button if you're enjoying the content. Of course, I appreciate you joining me for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.